All right, welcome back to another Outlast recap. We are recapping episode 5. We're a little desperate. We're not, but that was the title of the episode. Yeah. I'm Alex. I'm here with Hannah, Miss Bland.
Oh, yeah, I saw my name tag on.
Notably without her cheese balls today.
I had to teach today, so I figured I should leave the cheese balls at home.
The kids may really be happy about having the cheese balls.
Yeah. I figured I needed to, be more of a grown-up.
Make them respect you a little bit.
Yeah. All respect goes out the window if you bring a box of cheese balls for your lunch.
That is true.
So, that's okay. Not today.
Yeah. So we're going to talk through this episode 5. This was a really fun one. This may be my favorite one of this season so far. Either this one or episode 3. Both are really, really good to me. So the most notable thing happening this episode, of course, was the big tribe swap. Mm-hmm. First big shakeup of the season in Outlast, where we took the numbers and randomized them into 2 new tribes of 6, totally random. And it was totally random. They just picked things out of a basket. There was no influencing that in any way. So
yeah, which one of the teams ended up being pretty stacked. So it worked out really well for one team and not so well for the other. But
I think on paper, you can say the blue tribe definitely looked stronger than the purple tribe. But that's also what you would have said at the beginning, perhaps, of this season. And then true. Purple tribe won 4 straight. So
I lost my ring.
Oh no, it's right here on the ground.
I'm just gonna leave it. It's okay.
Okay, cool. And in addition to the tribe swap, purple tribe lost immunity for the first time. Had to go to tribal council for the first time as a tribe. The people on the tribe are different, but and then Sophie was voted out, becoming the 5th member voted out of Outlast. So we'll talk about all these things in our recap. So first things first, let's talk about that swap, kind of the first big thing of the episode and one of the most important things for this next phase of the game. On the blue tribe, of course, is Jenna, Will, and Jake, 3 of the 4 former blues, joined by Chloe, Ben,
and Jake
Chuddy, right. And then the remaining 6, Tess, Macy, Joe, Jack, Sophie, and Lydia, right, on the other tribe. Mm-hmm. So as mentioned in the episode, the biggest, most apparent thing is those 3 blues ended up staying together when, of course, the odds would suggest that that's not likely. Yeah. And then Lydia became the only former blue on the purple tribe, putting her in what looks like a pretty vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it definitely was very odd the way the tribes turned out. And for Lydia to be the one that picked the purple, the purple bandana or whatever is crazy. Yeah. I mean, because the 3 that got the blue ones were the 3 closest in that group. I mean, those were the 3, actual alliance, that made up the actual alliance. Yeah. So it's crazy that Lydia happened to pick the purple one out of all of them.
One of the things I'm realizing as I'm going back in and editing now is how, I may have even mentioned this last week, there's so many little things, little random things, or even if they weren't random, just small decisions that were made that if they looked differently would have totally changed things, And the swap is a really good example where you've got those 3 working together who got to stay together and continue, at least for the time being, continue to work together. And it would have been so easy for that to be broken up, and who knows how that would have changed that alliance, Yeah. We'll see how that continues or how it crumbles potentially down the road. But for the time being, that group of 3 got to stick together. So who do you think, knowing what you know into this episode, which player or players had the best role coming out of the swap, and which player or players had the worst one? Who maybe improved their situation the most and who's deteriorated the most?
Well, I think for one, I think Jenna said it really well when she talked about Lydia.
Yeah. This is a really interesting
Yeah. It ended up, I think, being really great for Lydia because she was the next one to go. I mean, and I think she knew that. And if she had stayed on the Blue Tribe, even granted they won, so, like, that wasn't a problem. But I think she still would have been maybe the next one to go if she had been on the Blue Tribe. So, yeah, I think maybe being swapped to the Purple Tribe was beneficial for her. I mean, she was less of a target on the Purple Tribe than she was on the Blue Tribe.
Yeah.
Also, I think it was beneficial for Ben, though. I think he was
under the heat the whole time.
Exactly.
To get some new faces was good.
Yeah, for sure. And he got switched to a tribe that still was winning. And so I think that was really good for him because I think otherwise he had he's the entire game. Well, got a little into it. The entire game, he had like a huge target on his back. So I think that was beneficial for him. Obviously, Sophie got voted out, so like that was a bummer for her. But I think that was coming either way. Yeah. Like, love you, Soph, but like it was inevitable. I think she was getting voted out no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe Joe or Jack, honestly, is who it played out worst for because they don't have really. It seems like they're kind of on the outside of everything. Yeah. And so, I don't think I don't know. They just seem like they're the two guys, and I feel like they kind of seem like they're, like, secluded. I don't know.
We'll probably talk about this a little bit later as we get later into this recap. But, they... Sophie, even at the end, kind of, in her exit interview, lays out the status of that tribe pretty well, where she's saying, like, Macy and Tess are kind of directing things. Joe and Jack at this point are kind of just going along with what they need to do. They don't necessarily have the agency at this point.
Exactly. And I think
Lydia was inserted into it. Yeah,
and I think she's closer, maybe it seems to me that she's closer with Tess and Macy than Joe and Jack might be. So I think she was put in a better spot, and then those two are kind of
Lydia's situation is really interesting because on one hand, depending on how you look at it, she could have been the biggest winner or the biggest loser because, and it's going to depend on how things shake out.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you just look at the pure numbers, she's down 5-1, X purple to X blue, right?
Yeah.
The easy thing to do this episode, and really for any other time they go to tribal, would just to be like, we can just get out Lydia. Easy, done, just like that. But on the other hand, like you said, she was in that situation with the Blue Tribe.
Yep.
And being what Jenna said was really illuminating, where it was like, maybe this is actually going to be good for her because she was going to be next out there. And now she has a new group of people to work with.
Exactly.
And because, pardon me, Blue Tribe was hoping for this, but the Purple Tribe, because they have not been to tribal until this point, you start to get antsy and you have all this time to formulate plans, but no chance to actually put them into action.
Yeah. And so they were just carrying out their former plan.
They were ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. So Lydia wasn't even an option to them because she hadn't been there.
Yep.
So they just carried out the plan they had already formed, and it worked out well for her.
Yeah. And so for the Blue Tribe, that was their hope, and it turned out to come to fruition that they wanted to vote one of their own people out because they'd been thinking about it for, a whole day and hadn't had the chance to. So we'll see how it works out, but I really think at this point in the show, Lydia's situation is one of the most compelling things where, she has been to tribal every time. She's at the bottom. Yeah. She's finding a way to survive to this point. And
I know. This was when I remember, this was like a time to watch her. I remember this moment. I really began to notice, okay, this girl's kind of in a good spot.
Yeah. Because up until this point on the Blue Tribe, she was kind of playing the background,
she seemed like the next one to go, and she was.
Yeah,
but then this kind of
frustratingly so from like a viewer's perspective, a few times where I would say like, dude, Lydia, make the move. Like when she got votes, she was like the backup vote on the Amaya vote, and she still voted with the people that were putting votes on her. And it's like, make the move, and she didn't. But now she's in a place, maybe invigorated where she is starting to play the game a little bit more. So
exactly,
swaps are fun. It's cool how it just changes everything.
It was a good change for the game.
And I really, like, this could not have worked out better for Will, Jake, and Jenna.
Oh, no, it
couldn't have worked out better.
Yeah.
Because they're still together, and you look at the people the 3 former purples that are on their tribe. Now, if that 3 was like a Tess, Macy, Sophie, for instance, right? Or like a group of 3 that was close together, that would be tough to deal with because they would come in as a unit. The 3 that ended up with them, Ben, Chuddy, and Chloe, there's no evidence of them working together to
Those
this point.
3 are all pretty separate. I mean,
Yes.
Ben and Jake the whole time have been at like butting heads, and then
Chloe's
Chloe,
talked about wanting Ben out before.
Yeah, but she's not necessarily aligned with Jake either. So,
as far as we know, to this point, the only thing, because Purple's under-edited right now because they hadn't been doing anything to this point, but we knew that Chloe and Sophie had some form of alliance, but that's the only thing we knew about Chloe. So
yeah, and now Sophie's gone. So
and what Jenna said in her confessional about really only needing to flip one over, that is a lot more like possible of a proposition with a Jake, a Ben, or a Chloe, or a combination of them than it would have been with like a Tess and a Macy, for instance, or like even Tess, Macy, Jack, right? So. Yeah. It could not have worked out.
It worked
better,
out perfectly for them.
them.
And just the athletic abilities of that team. Like, they all have been really strong players throughout this entire game.
Yep.
So it was just a stacked team.
Yep. It looked good.
Yeah.
Anything else about the swap? We've talked a lot about the swap.
I know.
But it's fun.
I mean, that was like the biggest thing of this episode. So it makes sense that we talked a lot about the swap. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like the swap was like the big thing because I feel like the Sophie thing was kind of, I don't know, somewhat
we'll talk more about tribal and stuff here in a second.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. So.
Yeah. She just, I think, again, it was laid out well by herself at the end where, Tess and Macy running the show, the guys would listen to them. And they just did not see Lydia as a threat at this point to deal with.
Yeah, she's new, and they didn't even think about her.
So what's the default? Sophie.
Yeah, it was
Too bad.
kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the challenge. This is one of my favorite challenges of the whole season, honestly. I love the way that it looks. I love the kind of like different sort of skills that you need to do this.
It's so funny.
You have to communicate well. You have to listen well. You have to work together. And I, as a Survivor viewer... and an aspiring Survivor contestant, love these challenges that are really like skill based rather than just like speed or strength based, because I have a lot more athletic skill than I do speed or strength. You know what I mean? I can shoot a ball better than I can run. And so, I don't know. I thought it was a fun and creative challenge, and I liked watching it.
Yeah, it was very interesting. You're right. It was honestly just the most entertaining to watch. Like, I mean, I see where you're coming from, but also just as like a viewer, oh my gosh, it was so funny. Like you have all of these like people just like running into one another, running into trees, or like tripping over obstacles.
Jack was hilarious in this challenge. The way he was like swinging his limbs everywhere and running into everything.
I know. At one point, Will was like army crawling, and I don't remember who it was, but he like brushed up against somebody, and like that person thought thought Will was like one of the balls, and like reached down, and like it was not. It was Will, and he like moved. That's funny. Oh, it was so funny. They were like running into one another. And
do you second guess either of the tribe's choices in who they would have as the callers?
Okay, I was actually like shocked that they picked Ben. I mean, I really didn't think, because I mean, like this entire time they've been like, Ben is like, we need to get him out, like he's a weakness or something like that, and like they picked him to be the person calling all the shots in this challenge, which he did a great job. So good job, Ben.
They won.
Yeah, they won.
And they completed that part before Purple did.
Yeah, exactly. So great job, Ben. But I did not expect it. I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, me neither, honestly.
Yeah, like Macy was a given. I can totally see that. She takes charge and she's good at that. But like, I just didn't. Yeah, it was kind of shocking because I didn't think that they would choose Ben.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, he showed up. I wonder if they were almost like setting him up to fail and like giving an excuse to vote him out. But at this point, they didn't really need one because they've been planning it for a long time. But yeah, it was an interesting choice, but it was a good one because they won.
I know. He did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really did take charge, too. I was surprised.
One of my favorite things about this episode, too, was their reaction to the reward. of breakfast was so, again,
yeah.
looking back at Survivor, whenever, there's a reward, especially later in the game, and Jeff's like, you'll get pizza, soft drinks, all the fixins, just like, and everybody's there is just like, yes, give me these things. There was a similar reaction as we were explaining the reward, and that was pretty fun to experience.
Which is so funny because this is like also such a typical like high schooler reaction. Like been without food for like less than 24 hours.
It's been about 18
and
hours
they've had
probably.
Cliff bars and nuts. It's not like they've been deprived of all food and water.
They're probably hungry, sure, but they're not like starving.
Yeah,
by any
exactly.
means. Yeah.
Like literally they got there the previous evening. Or like previous, I guess it was like early
noon.
Yeah. But still, it's like not been that long.
No.
At all.
It was pretty funny and fun to experience.
Yeah.
With that, though, you see in the episode, this probably needs some explaining. There's the shot of the bag of apples, and, we like kind of darken out everything but one area. There is a clue to a hidden immunity totem in the reward, in the apple bag. Because, so again, like we said before, whenever a totem is played, a new one is planted then in the tribe where the one that was played was found. So when Amaya, or when an item is a totem is taken out of the game for any reason. So when Amaya went home, taking the totem with her, we replanted a totem in the blue camp shortly after that. So in that reward was a clue to that totem that was also at the blue camp. Yeah. As of the end of this episode, that clue, we didn't see anyone find it.
No.
Which I wasn't down there, so I didn't see how exactly it was hidden. But it was right there on the top of the bag.
Yeah. I don't think, in their defense, I don't really think anybody was going for the apples.
I think you're right.
I think they're like bacon and bread.
Yeah, if we hit it in the bacon, it would have been found immediately.
Exactly. So I don't really think anybody cared about apples. They had orange juice, bacon, and bread. It's like, I wouldn't have gone for the apples either. So
there is both a totem at the blue camp and a clue just waiting there for someone to find and read and take them to that totem. As of this point, no one has done anything with it or seen it. So we'll see how that plays out, if it does at all.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've talked about Ben. They mention again that Ben, they would like to get him out, but it makes it difficult with his totem, even though they're not going to tribal right now.
Yeah. They're not losing, and he has a totem. So right now he's just coasting.
He's fine for now. Yeah. It is really worth noting, though, we probably have enough, that Ben has been a target, like an explicit target from the very beginning of the game. And he's still here, mostly because he has not had a chance to go home.
He hasn't been to one tribal council.
Yeah.
And he has a totem. So it's like literally he...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it almost becomes kind of like, not boring or like tired, but it's like every week they're like, yeah, we'd love to get Ben out, but there just hasn't been a chance to.
Yeah.
And he's
it's not even
surviving.
A possibility.
And you could, look at saying like, oh, he's getting lucky. They never have to go to tribal. But he's been a part of the teams that have won. So at least in some way he's...
Yeah. And I think he's competed well.
Yeah,
I don't
he's done
think
well.
that he's... I think they know that. I think he's just gotten into a couple of conflicts. And I think that was the main reason for them wanting to get him out. I mean, he's a strong competitor.
Yep. We've harped on it a few times already too, but... when you find a totem in such a way that everyone knows it is yours now, it puts a huge target on your back.
Exactly.
And that mistake is both a boon and a mistake, in that he found a totem, but he did so in a way that put a big target on his back. And
he kind of tried to hide it, but he couldn't. And in his defense, it was nearly impossible to hide it. But
that's kind of been with him the whole time.
Yeah, because he tried to hide it, I think that made him a bigger target.
Yeah. I want to mention, too, we've talked about Lydia a lot, but mention, too, how she really played this episode really, really well, too, where she comes into this new tribe, probably expecting to be voted out, and then heard pretty early on, it seems like, that they want to vote Sophie out. And she wisely said, cool.
Yeah.
Yep, totally.
Let's do back it. And just, she
took the step back rather than trying to immediately be like, okay, let's see, how can I get 3? How can I get 4?
Yeah.
She's like, it's not me? Great.
Yeah.
And a lot of, in Outlast, good strategy is knowing not just what move to make, but when to make it.
Yeah, and when to not make a move, when to just kind of...
Yep. And so the non-move in this case for her, really strong. She played that super well in a place where it would have been so easy for her to go out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I think that's about it. I will say, like, one of the most interesting bits of information that we got in this episode, I think, was in the Purple Tribe's confessionals after the challenge. Kind of Lydia's assessment of things as a new person coming in, saying that, like, yeah, you know, I don't think it's me. That's great. I'm happy to go along. But, like, Tess and Macy are really playing hard. They're really smart. They're keeping me along now, but they make me nervous. And I think that dynamic, you know, and then also we hear that Joe and Jack are maybe not playing as strategically at this point, right? So I think what we see brewing is the Tess and Macy and the Lydia, and how long Lydia will continue to work with them, and they will continue to work with Lydia before they recognize each other as threats, and start to shake that up. You know, that is, I think, what we are heading towards narratively on the Purple Tribe, and I'm excited for that all to pan out one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you get a pretty clear foreshadowing from them that, yeah, they're playing nicely together now, but I don't think either of them expect that their path forward includes the other party, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else to talk through? This has been a fun episode.
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot to cover, but
Yes.
I think we've pretty much talked about it all.
All right. So this episode dropped on the 30th that we're talking about right now.
Wait, what?
No, it dropped on the 23rd.
Yeah, this will be this week's.
Yes. So there is an episode next week. I'm sorry, we're recording these like a week ahead of time, so it's hard for me to put myself in the place.
Yes. So there will be an episode the 30th.
Correct.
This one's for the 23rd.
Correct. And then we don't have the 6th on the 7th.
Yeah, that's fall
break.
break.
So that's a week off. But tune in next week, 8 o'clock on Sunday on our YouTube channel for episode 6 of Outlast, which is another really, really fun one. I really don't think there's a bad episode the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's been a bad one yet.
It only goes up from here. Yeah. Let's just say that.
There's been a couple less dramatic, intense ones. Yeah, you're right. It does really escalate from here. Yep. I'm excited.
I am too.
All right.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Hannah.
No problem.